What's up, everybody? It's Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics, on performance, on lots of things, but mostly feeling and performing and functioning awesomely. I am your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified, get the YouTube app to get notified in real time. We are supported by products, which I'll explain later, but first as an introduction, number one, the Cortex stack. Number two, the Torque stack. These are nootropics. And then lastly, consulting. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant on biohacking, all things related to nootropics. You can hire me in under a minute at livecortex.com. Hey, friends. So let's talk about the compound that is like legal Viagra, meaning you don't need a prescription for it. You can actually buy the powder by itself. And so as to not be one of those YouTubers that take 7 minutes to get to something, which I absolutely hate, right off the bat, the compound is called icarin. It is a prenylated flavanol glycoside that is essentially extracted from the epimedium plant, which for those of you familiar with this terminology may find that familiar because it is the epimedium plant is the horny goatweed plant. The horny goatweed is a compound that facilitates erections. It's erectogenic as well as facilitates libido in some men, but that's primarily because of the icarin that is in it. So what icarin is an extract from the horny goatweed plant that's isolated, and you can actually get it in powder, and it's profoundly erectogenic. Why it is comparable, or at least similar to Viagra, is that the mechanism of action is actually the same. It is a PDE5 inhibitor. It's also going to foster the expression of nitric oxide synthase, which basically is an enzyme that converts your free arginine into nitric oxide. PDE5 inhibition, its primary mechanism of action is the mechanism behind Viagra, Cialis, and a lot of the other erectogenic compounds. So let's get to some papers on this. I want to take you to a paper titled Exploration of Icarin Analog Structure Space Reveals Key Features Driving Potent Inhibition of Human Phosphodiesterase 5, which is PDE5, and keyword potent here. There's a lot of kind of anecdotals out there that say it's a mild PDE5 inhibitor. That's not been my experience, and the literature really doesn't back that up. It summarizes, icarin inhibits human PDE5 with an IC50 in the low to mid micromolar range. Like several synthetic PDE5 inhibitors, icarin treatment can also increase CGMP levels in cavernous, smooth muscle cells isolated from mice, making it a promising pharmacophore, I've never heard that word before, for developing new PDE5 inhibitors. So it's got, PDE5 inhibition, but that actually has direct action like on the male junk, which is pretty impressive. And again, the catalyzation of nitric oxide synthase is going to foster arginine's conversion to nitric oxide, which is going to help you have boners. How do you dose it, and what should you expect? The dose range, in my opinion and in my experience, because I've been fussing with icarin for many years. In fact, I did a video about this on this channel many, many years ago. My dose range is between 200 and 400 milligrams. I don't really like going above that because I do get side effects, mainly gastrointestinal side effects, and that aligns with some of the literature as well. Let's talk about a paper on safety and doses and tolerability. There's a paper titled Human Safety and Pharmacokinetic Study of Orally Administered Icarin. It's a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. In that paper, we learned that the compound was well tolerated in 100 to 1680 milligram doses, with the higher end of that dose range, in the 1600 arena, which I'd argue that most people don't have to go to, causing gastrointestinal distress. They state in the study, tolerability of icarin was good, except at the highest doses. 2 participants receiving 1680 milligrams of icarin discontinued the study drug due to gastrointestinal symptoms. But again, from my experience and from the research, and then looking at the anecdotals that do exist on icarin, 1680 milligrams is both far too high and usually not necessary for people. Personally, so let me explain how it affects me. Within about 45 minutes of administering it, I get a noticeable erectogenic response. Now look, I have dosed tadalafil, sildenafil, analogs of those drugs, and those are more potent, right? I mean, they're prescription compounds for that have erectogenic properties, but the PDE5 inhibition in icarin, and for me, a 300 milligram dose is somewhat comparable, and usually 45 minutes to an hour before engaging in sexual activity is a good time to dose it. That's effective for me when I dose it. Now we're going to get to the fact that you should probably not have erection issues to begin with, and you've got to focus on some of the other things that may be inhibiting erection quality or libido We will get to that. But let's talk about like how to get it, where you can get it, how it comes. Comes in powder. You should be shooting for the highest percentage that you can get. I mean, there's a 98% powder that you can get from Lift Mode. In fact, that's where I got it initially when I did the video on this many, many years ago. And as it turns out, Lift Mode actually still has the product. Now, I think Lift Mode kind of went into some sort of a weird thing where like they require you to have some sort of user account, which has a little bit of stipulations to it. So you may want to look into that. But Lift Mode is a very reputable company. No affiliation. Oh, I have to make that clear. No affiliate links. I'm not talking the product up, so you can go click on it like most biohacking YouTubers. That's just where a safe bet to get it. But look, we never want to look at like my N=1 and a few studies on this, but interestingly, if you go search around the web, there aren't many anecdotals on it. There is one interesting one, which I want to kind of talk about. It's a thread on Reddit titled, icarin. Anyone have experience with this? A user goes, hey, Lift Mode carries it both in 90% and 98% concentrates. I ended up buying a 5 grams of the 98% shortly after it arrived in the market, but I never got around to really testing it out. After reading a raving review from Musclehead, who claimed it to have profound testosterone boosting effects, among other things, I'm considering giving it another shot. Now, I wanted to point this out because there is some research to suggest, well, that actually pretty conclusively says that icarin raises serum luteinizing hormone concentration. So luteinizing hormone is going to communicate directly with the Leydig cells in the testicles and make you make more testosterone. I think this is where the horny goat weed like aphrodisiac and libido enhancement stuff comes from. It's not just the PDE5 inhibition, but it'll actually make you make more testosterone. Now, those effects, it's far and few between, or it runs the gamut. I mean, it may be marginal. That's really difficult to say. Personally, I've never really seen any large-scale increases in testosterone from using it, but there are anecdotals on the web of people who have, so keep that in mind. Now, as far as it enhancing libido for me personally, that's difficult to say because my libido is in a great place, but, you know, icarin definitely has a powerful erectogenic effect for me. Now, I want to make this clear. It may not work for everyone because fostering erections and the many things that can inhibit erections, like that kind of runs the gamut, right? I mean, there's so many things that can inhibit your ability to both have libido and strong erections. You know, if your prolactin is out of range. This is a very important hormone. I mean, most people are not going to have a problem with prolactin, but some people are. And if it's out of range, it's going to inhibit sexual function, both at the penile tissue level, there's a mechanism for that, as well as in essentially inhibiting your testosterone production via fussing with gonadotropin release. If your serum testosterone is in a good place, but your serum estradiol is creeping past a certain threshold for you, well, then that's going to give you erection problems. I mean, there's plenty of guys that are on full-blown TRT that you would think they're walking around with raging erections all day that have problems with erections because they let their estrogen get past a certain threshold, and they're taking the advice of some of these like other, I don't know, Redditors or YouTubers or self-proclaimed specialists who are saying estrogen is great and you should have all kinds of high quantities of it and you should never manage it, which I don't agree with. Obviously, if your testosterone is sitting below, call it the 450 nanograms per deciliter total test mark, you're probably going to have erection quality issues and you want to tend to that. And if you're taking something, call it a pharmaceutical drug, even a supplement, and you got to look into the mechanisms of your supplements that are anti-dopaminergic, that's probably going to have a negative effect on your erection function. And then lastly, if you're taking an SSRI of any type, then that either is going to currently or post you taking it induce an erection quality problem. So those are things to think about. Like you want to get to the root of, if you're looking to try icarin for, erectogenic purposes, you want to get to the root of why exactly you don't have substantially strong erections as it is as a male, so that you can simultaneously work on that and then use icarin kind of as a supplement in the meantime, and kind of the cherry on top. It's like once you get test levels straight, you balance test and E2, it's the right ratio for you. If your prolactin's high, you get that lowered and you fix any other issue that is preventing you from having high quality libido and erections. Then you bring icarin on top of that therein seems to be where the most prominent effects can be found. Hope that makes sense. Thanks for being with me. As I explained earlier, a couple products support this broadcast. They are the following. We've got pretty cool nootropic products, actually two epic ones. Number one, the Cortex stack. I mean, this is verbal fluency, mental energy, motivation in a pill. You take 2 capsules, 25 minutes later, the supplement turns on and you're in a great place. You can buy Cortex live, cortex.com. Cortex is a noticeably clean stimulant. Secondarily, the Torque stack. Now, this is the most purchased stack on the web. This is the stack that we've certainly never had a more popular product than Torque, blowing through inventory. It's because people recognize that 2 capsules of Torque, and within 20 to 25 minutes, you are locked in, motivated, energized. Your brain is working. You feel productive. You are motivated to do things. Torque is an exceptionally high potency nootropic stack, so not for the faint of heart, but it's a very sustainable daily nootropic stack to take. The best way to get Torque is on subscription, and you can do that at livecortex.com. In fact, I'll give you a coupon code. If you want to get Torque on subscription, you can save 30% right now on your first bottle by using the coupon code 30SUB. If you subscribe to Torque, which you absolutely should, get it delivered every month. You'll save 30% on your first bottle. Then you get to try it for like uber cheap and see if you'll love it. You're probably going to love it, and then you just keep the subscription thereafter. Lastly, if you need my help, I am a coach, consultant, whatever you want to call it, on biohacking, on libido, sexual function, on testosterone. I have a lot of specialties, mainly nootropics and energy, and I'll flash them in front of the screen so you can get a good look at them. You can hire me in under a minute for a call or a one-on-one program at livecortex.com. All right, friends, pleasure being with you. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, later.